Hi there, it's Jax again here. This video is being made to answer a question that a gentleman from down under asked me about how you'd sharpen a recurve or say a hawkbill blades. I think he actually said a recurve, but I guess that would apply for anything that has a bend in it and isn't straight. Or whatever. So anyways, for that fellow knife maker, I'm gonna put the camera down here and hopefully I'm in view, but for that fellow knife maker, I totally get what you're saying. The hawkbill I showed from my video slices paper, but it's not as sharp as some of my other knives, and I kind of had a hard time because it's such a curve in it, getting it as sharp as I could, you know, say a straighter knife. Anyways, I don't know if you were talking about how do you grind the bevels on it or how do you sharpen it. So I'll just kind of let you know. You know, I might be just saying stuff that you already know, and I might not be any help at all. But maybe I actually have some information that'll help. So, anyways. One trick to really getting your knives sharp is to, before you sharpen the knives, is to put a good bevel on it. So you want to thin that metal out as much as possible so that you only have a thin sliver of metal to actually put that super sharp cutting edge on. See, what I do with my blades, this is just a piece of steel. This is that circular saw blade that I made that hawkbill and drop point skinner out of. This is what I have left, and it was just a small blade. But anyways, it really helps if you take your file or your belt sander or whatever you're using and really carve away a bit of that thickness so you have a thinner piece of steel to work with. And that's what I do for the most part with my knives before I go to sharpening with this, the Lansky stone system. Different grits going up to like 2000. So really coarse grits going up to 2000. So I clamp my knife in there. That's usually it's the last thing I do almost after I heat treat it and tempered and polished the knife and everything. It's almost the last thing I do is I go and I put the final cutting edge on with that. So this system here actually will work for doing recurves. I don't think you should have a problem doing recurves with this type of system. If you're not familiar with it, you put your knife in there and you clamp it down. You take this rod and you would insert this into there, and then so it's like that. Hopefully I'm not being redundant here, but and then once you have that clamped in there, you would choose an angle, and you would, oops, sorry, you know what, I'll just put the camera down, and bear with me, I'm gonna get into other things right away, but anyways, so you would take your Lansky stone. For those of you that are wondering, if you go to a decent enough store, you can get a pretty decent Lansky sharpening kit for you know, under 50 bucks, and sometimes quite a bit under 50 bucks. So your blade would be clamped in there. You would choose an angle like 17 degrees, and you would grind your blade, turn it around. You don't have to turn the knife around, just the whole jig. And then grind the other side and get the tip and all that stuff. Hopefully I'm in frame. And then take this off, switch to a finer stone, and eventually work your way up to like whatever the finest stone is that you have. This will sharpen a recurve, this style of thing. And if you don't have any money or access to this type of system, this is the Lansky system. There's also the Wicked Edge and Edge Pro Apex. Edge Pro Apex is the one I wish I had. It will put a hair whittling edge on a knife, and so will this. You can sharpen your knife so sharp that with this system that you can split hairs with it. You can pull a hair out of your head or find a hair on the floor and carve that hair into other hairs. So that's really sharp. So, but if you don't have this, if you don't have that, and you don't have the money for that, then I guess what I would recommend is, and I really hope I can help you out here. I hope I'm not being redundant. You're a knife maker, so you probably know a lot of this stuff. But anyways, for rounded things like this is an unsharpened piece of steel. And actually, how I got the cutting edge on that hawkbill that I showed is pardon me while I put the camera down. And get it, sorry guys, me and my stupid fumbling of the camera. So anyways, how I actually got that cutting edge was I used the wheels on my grinders. This is a 2x72 knife maker's grinder, and it was given to me by a gentleman in another city who's a knife maker, and it was a really nice gesture. I started out with really small belt sanders, and I got this, and it's great. I kind of ran out of belts for it, and I don't have the money to actually buy new belts. But so anyways, that's another story. But I like to use the wheel for all sorts of things. You can make choils in your knife, because of course you can imagine the wheel would grind. So you don't just have to use the flat spots. I also use the spots here to put a convex grind in, or whatever. There's all sorts of ways. But anyways, that hawkbill you saw, I put the cutting edge like this. And keep in mind, this is unsharpened. So I guess before I turn that on, I better tell you what I'm doing here. So anyways, I kind of choose an angle, and since this is a radius and this is a radius, you can choose an angle, lay it on there when the machine's on, and grind that angle, you know, kind of thing. So I'll show you, and then and I stopped because I realized you might not have a belt sander, and if you don't, I'll talk about some stuff that you might have at your disposal. If you do, you know what? If you can go to a machine, if you don't have one of these things and you make your own hawkbill knife out of a circular saw, and you don't have a friend or a family member that will let you have access to a belt sander, even for 5 or 10 minutes, all you have to do is get that cutting edge on, and then you further refine that with other things. But try looking around at machine shops, metalworking shops, pipe fitting shops, trades, stuff like that. Just walk into their building one day and say, hey, can I talk to anybody about, and you know, they might have a belt sander there, and you just need it for 5 or 10 minutes. So don't be discouraged if you don't have access to this. You might not, you might be able to find someone at a machine shop or a shop like that. Auto repair, stuff like that. So anyways, and then if you don't have this or any other grinder at your disposal, that's okay, because I'll show you how to do it with files and stuff like that. So give me a second here, and we'll see what we can come up with here. Sorry about that. Okay, this really helps if you want to make a hawkbill sharp, is to thin a bit of that metal out and then put the final cutting edge on. So, so let's take a look at what we did here. As you can see, that wheel, those wheels really help at doing inner circles of blades. Even on this little small 1x30, you can see this wheel. You can still use that to grind a choil in, or put finger grooves, or to do angle stuff like that in a circular thing. Anyways, and then you would take that after you removed a bunch of metal, and you could further refine it with smooth round files. Round files are good because they're not flat, of course, and they get into those concaved areas. And then, but you want to use a nice fine round file. Also, these half round files, it's flat on one side, round on the other. Those are good for arc things like that. If you didn't have what I'm trying to say is, if you didn't have a machine like this or like that, you could put the same bevel that I just put in, relatively easy. Of course, you do this before you heat treat the steel, unless you're really good at not screwing up and overheating the metal. You know, you can do it by dipping it in water and stuff like that, but usually you do this before heat treat. And then you wouldn't sharpen it any further, and then you'd sharpen it after it's been heat treated, because you don't want it too thin, because you'll burn out the edge. But anyways, that's another story. So you take this half round and you clamp this into a vise, and you would work that circle, and to further refine it, or to even create the bevel that I put on with a belt sander, you can do that with this. Of course, you want to soften this steel first by heating it up to a red hot, and then slowly cooling it, or just leaving it in the fire till the fire dies down, and that really softens up the steel and lets the files bite further. Now, hopefully some of this is making sense, and hopefully I'm not just wasting your time. Another good thing is these fine ceramic circular rods here. This is almost like a knife steel, but it's made out of ceramic. I hope I'm saying it right. Is it ceramic or yeah. So anyways, this is a ceramic rod. It's very fine. It's like 1,000 or 2,000 grit. And for recurves and arced blades, this circular thing really gets in there nicely. So you know what? Hang on a second. I'm going to see how sharp I got this just by that few minutes on the belt sander here. I'm just going to put this down here. Me and my stupid camera wiggling thing. I got this little camera on a little tiny tripod that I won in a Christmas cracker. So I'm just going to put this down, maybe clamp it into a vise, and just further refine that edge. For any of you that see the Spyderco Sharp Maker, this is similar to the rods that the Spyderco Sharp Maker would have. And you can really get a knife very sharp with a file, and then find something a bit smoother to further refine that edge. And I know what you're saying, because I had a hard time with some recurves too. And I hope I'm not just showing you a bunch of equipment that you'll never have or you don't have, because you can do this with files. I hope one, you know, whatever. So I hope that helps. I hope something helps with that. So anyways, keep in mind this was a blunted piece of steel. It's not tremendously sharp, because I would have to spend like a good bit of time refining that edge and stuff like that. Okay, I'm just gonna put this down for a second. And like I said, sometimes these flat Lansky stones work good for recurves and stuff too. So hopefully I don't screw it up anymore. So yeah, recurves can be sharpened with flat rectangular stones as well, like the Lansky system. So anyways, okay, so you just saw I spent about, I don't know, maybe what, 5 or 6 or 7 minutes. Now I need to sort of test the sharpness out. So pardon me for a second, I'm going to put this down. Grab a block of wood, hopefully I'm in frame here, and try her out. So it's sharp enough to whittle wood. It's actually pretty good. I'm gonna grab a piece of cardboard here for a second. Okay, sorry about that. Here's some really thick cardboard. So keep in mind, you just saw me do that. And you can get it this sharp with a file if you don't have the belt sanders, and then further refine it with whatever finest stone you can find. So this is some cardboard. It's a little bit gummy and stuff like that, but and thick, but it still cuts through that. And if you really work at it and spend like 10 or 15 or 20 minutes on this, I'm pretty sure you get this shaving sharp. And so, oops, I'm kind of having a hard time, but it actually puts a clean slice in it. If you can see what I mean, like a clean slice, and that's just quickly, you know, working it for a few minutes. Anyways, like I said, the files will get that initial huge bevel in, and then a softer thing like, a smoother surface like this can finish it off. And if you don't have access to this, you can even take this pen or a knife steel or anything round and wrap it with like 600 to 1000 grit sandpaper. Just wrap it nice and tight. And if you don't have this, you can just use sandpaper. Wrap it nice and tight and work that in there. And eventually, if you work at it long enough, you'll get your hawkbill really sharp. So, and keep in mind that started as a square steel and now it's at this big cutting bevel. So anyways, also a really simple basic tool is a Dremel. Hopefully I'm making sense here, but a Dremel's really good. They come with these stones. You know, if you had your Dremel in there, it takes a steady hand, I admit it takes a steady hand to match that. Actually, files are the best thing if you don't have a belt sander, and sometimes files are even better than belt sanders, but you can do this exact same thing with a round file and something else smooth. That's for a hawkbill. That's mostly for a hawkbill. And recurves sharpen really nice. If you get the money to get, you know, I don't know what it is in your country, but if you can somehow, even if it's your birthday or Christmas or whatever, ask a hunter or something like that, and maybe you can borrow his Lansky stones or get your own, or you might have better tools than me. I don't know, you know, so whatever. But just know that a recurve could really be sharpened well, even on these rectangular flat things. Anyways, guys, it's going on 18 minutes, and I better wrap it up. I hope I made any sense there, but round files are really good for doing radiuses, and then you polish it off with finer grit stuff afterwards. So hopefully that made some sense. So once again, as always, from me and the Picks here in Canada, we're we're gonna leave you and say goodbye, and hopefully that might have made some sense to somebody out there. So anyways, thanks for watching, and have a good night and take care. Bye.